And if you know it's Tuesday, you know what it's all about. The Docket. That's right. Coming after Easter Monday and starting a fresh new. Actually, it feels like Monday today, but it's all good. Edwin Oya is in the house.
Good morning, sir.
Philip Ruto. Wamekurelease kwa ile show ingine?
Himself.
Wamekurelease.
Majukumu ni mengi.
Pesa busy man. Ikitu
Pesa ipo.
And of course, Fanya Mambo Kinodi is also in the house, who's just admitted he's a staunch Catholic.
Yes. The day was the lull, then the storm came. And I mean, it's okay that he rested at the age of 88. They are the same people, the church, that preach that if you die, you'll go to heaven. So I don't see why anybody should resist death, because then it takes you to heaven. So I think we celebrate his 88 years. It's sad to lose any person, but we celebrate his 88 years. He's been a good pope, controversial here and there.
Yeah.
But it's been an illustrious 88 years.
Oh, yeah, he's been a different kind of pope, eh?
He's been. You know, when we were growing up, some of us who grew up in 80s and 90s, we grew up knowing John Paul II as the pope.
JP2.
I think he's one of the longest serving popes that because he served, I think, for 29 years. Yeah,
more than Moi.
Yes. Francis has served for 12 years, which is also a longer period. He came in after Pope Benedict retired or resigned. We are told it's one of the few popes that have resigned willingly. Pope Francis said it shouldn't be normalized that a pope should be resigning, and so that's why he didn't resign despite the failing health issues that he had.
By the way,
but he has had a very checkered career as a pope. His 12 years at the reign of the Catholic Church. You know, he tried to introduce several changes. You know, Catholic Church was known for those scandals, you know, pedophiles and whatever.
Yes.
And he allowed the police to come in and do investigations.
Yeah.
Although people have been saying that action has not been seen, but at least he has opened up the church some more. You know, me, I'm not a Catholic, but I went to a Catholic primary school. I went to a Catholic high school. So there are one or two things I know about Catholic Church, although I'm not as Fanyamambo says, is a staunch Catholic follower, and so he knows more things there. But from what we hear, that whatever happens inside, actually there was even a thought that he could allow priests to marry at some point, but the traditionalists in the Catholic Church said no, that can't happen. You know, he was also came under fire for his stand on gays. He said, "Who am I to judge?" when he was asked about the question of the gays, and that did not go down well with some of the Catholic church members. And so he's been a pope that has tried to open up the church, has tried to bring up changes. The changes might not have arrived, but at least he has made a stride in trying to open up the church.
I join the rest of Kenyans whose highlight of the Pope's work was his visit to the country. In as much as I'm not Catholic, but I think the mood in the country at the time he visited almost made it feel like some presence of God is in the nation, you know. You could hear and feel Christianity and the atmosphere, the holy atmosphere all across the country.
That caveat of his.
Yes. And I saw how proud Catholics in the country were, and that is when I knew how serious they take this Pope business as Catholics.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And now all the cardinals have been summoned.
Yes.
I don't know how many there are, more than 100. I'm sure there's more than
every
100.
country has a cardinal,
right?
But any cardinal above the age of 75 will not vote.
Cannot vote.
Yes, so our cardinal in Jue will not be voting.
But 79, eh?
Yes, the Tanzanian one will also not be voting. He's above the age of 75. This is a tradition that is over 2,000 years old.
Won't go.
Yes.
Jesus was alive 2,000 years ago.
No. Immediately after Peter, who was the first pope, and that's why they call it St. Peter's Square, because he's buried there, his remains are there. They've had this, and it has worked for over 2,000 years. So, in fact, we should be borrowing from this practice, because it's worked for very many years, and it continues to work, and it will continue to work. So I think it's a beautiful system. They have their way. They know how they elect. They know how, like now the Pope is supposed to be buried between 4 and 6 days, not more than 6 days, not before 4 days. So these traditions are there. They exist. They are well known. They are well documented. They work. So let us not criticize a working system. It is working very well. And I usually tell everybody, though people don't like hearing this, that the whole world is Catholic. Like now we've just come from Easter. I ask Kenyans, why are you coming from Easter? And they don't know. And I tell them Easter is because of that day that you thought was not important, called Ash Wednesday. Because the Catholics went to put ash here, and 40 days from Ash Wednesday is Easter Sunday. So whether you like it or not, the Pope sets Ash Wednesday in Rome. And when he sets Ash Wednesday, which we think is not important, maybe the media covers this as a tradition of the church, 40 days from Ash Wednesday is Easter. And that's why Easter has got no specific date on the calendar. It is pegged on 40 days from Ash Wednesday. You people all celebrate Christmas. Who said Christmas? Where did it come from? Why do you have Christmas? And so on and so forth. So the whole world is Catholic. It's just that we manifest our Catholic faith in different ways, but we are all Catholics.
Okay, Ruto, what does this guy mean when he says the whole world is Catholic?
It is not about Catholic. It is a Christian tradition, you know. But those that have pronounced it, those that have put it out there are the Catholics. So we may give it to him. He can feel it now, especially now that they've lost their Pope. You know, it is just good that we allow him take it in. But it is a Christian tradition, not necessarily a Catholic.
We are so quick to observe and stick to the traditions of the foreigners, you know. The Catholics is a tradition of people from the Middle East, people from Europe. But when it comes to our traditions here, traditions that seems also to have worked, you know, we want to do away with them so fast because we think modernity is observing the traditions that are observed by other people, because that's their tradition. Like Fanyambo says, 2,000 years since Saint Peter was buried. 2,000 years, they are still observing that tradition.
Wow.
And here, when you observe your tradition, you are called, you are very local and very, you know, backward leaning.
Yes.
So I think we should also try to embrace our traditions that work for us.
Absolutely.
Because each and every community is obviously different.
Correct.
Yes.
But you see, the candidate for Pope is the cardinal. If at the point in time there is a cardinal fit to be Pope from that region, there will be a Pope from that region. So we are also looking forward to that. I was having that conversation with a priest yesterday, and he was telling me it's a conversation he wouldn't want to indulge in. Because you see, the Catholic Church tries as much as possible not to create divisions within itself, and to strongly believe in the systems that have been set. And they have always provided and produced good leaders. So we allow them to let their wheel roll the way it always does, because it always works and it's always successful. So we don't want to fix something that works, but we pray that one day we will have an African Pope.
It's going to take a very long time for Africa to produce a Pope.
Because in the standard, you can understand it.
Because
there's a front runner.
No, because first is all about votes.
Sikuna mwingine mna suggest
Ghanaian au Guinea?
Nikura Jeff. So it all depends. Does your constituency have enough votes? And most of those popes come from Europe.
Yeah.
And so when you are coming from Europe, most of those cardinals, because come Africa, you only have 18, and they have plus 100. So you don't need to have a good number to start with. But I doubt that we can see an African Pope at this moment.
Anytime soon.
I doubt. Although Fanyamambo says there's a name that has been going around, a proposed name from Kenya. I doubt that.
And there was a photo.
Yes. He's not even Catholic.
He's not even.
He's married.
but there's been talk about it being time for Africa. You're not allowed to converse and ask.
Right.
Yeah,
It's very tight.
You can't vote for yourself.
Yeah.
You can only receive that ballot. You write the name of whoever it is you think is fit. You fold. You give it out. There's no time for. They don't allow that conversation of can we tumalize. That is why they have they vote up to four times in a day. 2 times in the morning, 2 times in the afternoon. That is if there's no winner. So it shows you how discreet.
Yeah, it is.
Yes,
You can't have two presidents. The cardinal is like the guy now in charge of the whole Catholic Church here in the country. Although there's somebody called the Apostolic Nuncio, who is basically the Pope's representative in the country. So the Pope has to appoint one person from Rome who comes and lives in the country. That is like the Pope's
The
eye.
ambassador. He's like an ambassador.
That's the Pope's
As
eye.
you said,
It's-
Vatican
is a republic.
Independent.
Republic. Yes.
And what's this guy doing? I mean,
it's like an embassy.
what's his role?
kuangalia church
Now the
na-
Pope is now the president of the church in the world, so he needs his eyes everywhere.
Guy.
Yes.
You're overseeing over a billion congregants.
True. Out of 7 billion,
plus Jeff, who is also a
Yeah,
Catholic.
who does not understand?
the process. Your process. Wah.
Yes.
So, like Abu, you were saying, chances of an African Pope is just slim to none. So,
But you see also, let us be fair. This church is 2,000 years old and less than 150 years old in Kenya. I mean, the first Catholic Church was established in 1890 or thereabout, the Holy Ghost Fathers in Mombasa. So you guys are 125 years old into the Catholic Church and you are saying you want to have a Pope. There's no African country that has held the Catholic Church for more than 150 years. In fact, when you see the scramble and partition for Africa, it tells you that the Catholic Church came into this world, let's say fairly around 1900. It's been about 125 years. Be fair enough, those guys have had that church for 2,000 years, the bulk of them. So allow them to continue having popes. We shall mature enough. We are only 125 years old in the grand scheme of things. So the time will come for us to have popes. It's not a big issue.
that's when Obuya's children will be in university.
No, my grandchildren may.
What do we do?
No, Manyamambo says water is
in the
everywhere.
famous
It's
lake
wet and
Nairobi.
like Nairobi, it's like it burst its banks.
Yeah, and dimples are for London.
Yeah, and you know there are people who voted for Dimples.
Yes.
You know when you vote for somebody who has actually tried to forget where they went to university and has to be reminded, then you also have this kind of problems. You see, drainage is a planning issue. There is no rocket science. There's nothing. Drainage is a planning issue. For a very long time, there was an MCA in charge of, like the way counties have, the way Parliament has got committees. Nairobi City County had a committee for urban planning. And the bulk of the MCAs who were in charge of that urban planning committee, as the chair of the urban planning committee, some of them were people who had never seen the doors of any university. Now, urban planning is a 5-year degree. It's it's like engineering. It's different, it's difficult. Now when you let that be led by some MCA who never saw the doors of university, then it tells you what will happen.
You're in
So
trouble.
the biggest challenge we have in this Nairobi is that from the very top to where the rubber meets the road, we have let our city planning go into the hands of the wrong people. And so tutaswim, mununue gambo. Tunakumbuka census mkiulizwa kama mko na boat mkafikiria ni mchezo.
When you say about
Yeah,
you
that
own
makes
boats.
sense.
Yeah, at some point, Nairobi County government, I think, had budgeted for boats.
Correct.
Fanyambo's governor has literally washed his hands from this. He says, why do you want me to correct something that has been there for ages? He says that is not his problem. Drainage is not his problem, and that's why I'm saying Nairobi residents will continue swimming, because if the leadership then thinks that it is not a priority, that it's not he's making, so he shouldn't be solving it, then we'll continue swimming.
Yeah.
And the tragedy is it rains for 2 hours and then the whole city
It's flooded.
is under the water.
Yeah.
Just 2
It's
hours.
flooded.
Yes.
They called NMS names when they
General Party.
they called NMS all sorts of names, but the Kenya we are in now, you'd rather have someone who attempts to do something with however little money
Yeah.
it is that you can see, other than this person that does literally nothing with the lots of money that you give them. They say no government has not eaten Kenyan taxes, but we always sit back and say Kibaki did this because there's something you can see. He may have eaten, but there's something you can see. NMS may have had its shortcomings, but you can walk around and say these are the testimonies of what NMS did. So if we compare what the situation we were in during the NMS times and what we are now, I would be so quickly to say, why can't we think of rerouting to NMS until we find someone suitable, whether it is Fanyamambo or Babu Owino, to lead Nairobi.
It's not just about Nairobi. There was that conversation of having Nairobi metropolitan.
Yes.
You know, involves part of Machakos, part of Kajiado, part of
that could work.
Kiambu. You know, part of it was supposed to be a Nairobi metropolitan area, and so it has not worked because Kenyans, we believe in. There's this even now. There's a conversation of reducing the counties, but who will accept that his county be done away with? Somebody was telling me the other day Tarakanith is a county on a roundabout. It's so small, but they cannot accept that county be done away with because they believe Turkana County will also eat what other Kenyans are eating. And so there has been that conversation of trying to do away with the Nairobi County and forming the Nairobi Metropolitan. NMS try to do that, but because of the vested interest, Machakos wanted to remain with their own budget. They don't come to our area. Kajiado will tell you don't come to our area. Supposed to be Machakos, Kitengela, Kiambu.
But I beg to differ. You see,
so for as long as systems are working, it should work. But I don't know how we get it wrong each and every time we vote in Nairobi, because I doubt if we have ever had a governor that we have said actually this is working. The first governor Kidero,
one term
Sonko he did not even finish his term.
Half term.
then we have Sakaja. So Sakaja is 2-3 years in, we are seeing nothing but he's doing.
The president is on his way to China.
Looking east.
He's looking east. I wonder if he got any advice from his predecessor.
More debts.
God.
US VP should visit some of these countries the way he visited the Pope. The fact is that where we are, Jeff, Kenya, I think, is the 6th country owing China the monies that we owe China.
Our debts.
Huge debts that we owe China, and the fact that we are going back there, we are just going to come back with more debts, because I think the president is trying to renegotiate the debts that we have to say tulikuwa tulipe December tufikishie February, alafu tufanye namna hii, alafu tupatie pesa ingine tutalipa baadaye. We are literally borrowing to pay. We are borrowing,
a begging bowl.
Yes, we borrow here, unalipa huyu na niko na pesa yako na kuomba Ruto na kulipa, alafu nakuja kufanya mambo pia
akulipe.
And this comes at a time when the US and the China having they're
at war.
They are at war.
Trade war, correct.
I just hope that we are not going to be the grass that is going to suffer, because
the elephants are.
Yeah, because those are 2 elephants fighting. I hope we are not going to be the grass that is going to suffer because of those fights, because Trump is not like Biden, who is going to reason with you. If Trump thinks that you are facing east, then he can do away with you. If he does away with us, how is that going to affect our policies? How is that going to affect our trade? So it's a very it needs a very good balancing act.
Yeah. We've seen what the US has done since Trump came into power, and most of the countries that have been affected are looking for ways to show Trump that we can do without you. Just hoping that Trump will think twice and say, hey, let us talk. So in as much as we are seeing President Ruto going for all these negotiations and loans and stuff, I am thinking he's trying to pull an easy one. He's attempting to pull an easy one on someone who doesn't care, trying to scare or to threaten the West with the move to the East, hoping that the West will say, okay, wait a minute, tulikuwa tuna joke, and then we start renegotiating on some of the things that we think have gone wrong. So, and then in the end, like Obuya said, we now face even tougher times, because Trump is not the kind of boyfriend that you would want to make envious. I don't think that would work. So it could be what is going around, that it is renegotiating and bilateral talks and cementing the relationships and looking for opportunities for Kenyans wherever.
Kwa hivyo tunaweza kumwona Washington DC one of these days.
Of course, sitakuwa surprised.
President has a very high appetite. He has a very high appetite for wrong decisions. Have you seen any other president of any other place in the world where people use common sense going to China right now? When the US is fighting with China, that's the time you don't go. When there is a fight in DRC, in Congo, that's when you mute the mic. But for Kenya, DRC, there's a bad fight. You are there muting, opening the mic and saying you've spoken to France. Look at what has happened to our relationship with them. Right now, this is the most unlikely time. It's the worst time that any president should leave their country and go to China, or the US for that matter, because China is also a superpower. This would have been a time to keep quiet, go to Harambee House. Na sijui kama ile kiti ya Harambee House inakuanga na miba, because it's never been sat on. Just work from Harambee House. For crying out, my president, you know, sometimes I even have to beg you, just go to Harambee House, or at least stay in State House. Because you see, now going to China right now, when they are fighting with the US, you're sending a very bad message. I think this was the worst timing. Whatever it is that the conversations are about, this is not a good timing. It's not a time when you want to show you are aligning yourself with one of them. I mean, you've seen what we have done when Kenya went there and started speaking ill about Russia. And and you know what they are saying? They're even blaming Russia for the war with Ukraine and saying Russia has made a mistake to fight with you. We are saying as who? Na nilikwambia ndege zetu ni za kufanya crop irrigation hapa, the ones that we are parading here Nyayo State. In Russia, those aeroplanes would be used to, you know, to kill insects, and to, those guys would switch off our planes from the air. When you think of the weaponry of the Russian nation, and they are there fighting with a country called Ukraine, and as a country, nyinyi Kenya utu twenyu tuonanga hapa 1964 jet ndio kanenda pale Laikipia Air Base, whose coordinates are known, we even know the number of planes, and you are there answering Russia about war. I think some of the decisions, ni vile tu, you know, sometimes when the elephant hears there's a flea on its ass, sometimes it just does this because you don't want to waste so much time on a flea on that side. But we are just lucky. God loves Kenya, that some of this country have not reacted the way they are supposed to react when you do some, because some of the things we do are outrageous, or some of the things our head of state does.
We are lucky, like Fanyamambo says. There are things we go through that and we somehow seem to survive. You know, our economy is still fairly doing well. You know, we are still fairly a peaceful country. We are still, you know, we are the beacon of the peace around this region. We are fairly a democratic country, and so despite all the challenges that we are going through, actually, you wouldn't take me from here and take me to Uganda and you tell me that, you know, you will be okay here, or take me to Tanzania and you tell me you will be okay here, or even Rwanda.
Tanzania is actually worse.
Because we are doing way much better than our peers in the region, and that just shows you that God really loves us, because the challenges we go through, the corruption that we go through, when you are told that 2 billion shillings is stolen each and every day, each and every day you are told 2 billion shillings are stolen, the things, even the killings, you know, you wake up and you hear somebody has killed you, a woman has been killed where, and you are thinking, are we okay as a country? The depression levels,
and she's beheaded,
or you know, the things we are going through as a country, and we somehow survive, we somehow wake up tomorrow and be hopeful that tomorrow is going to be a better day just shows that we are a resilient lot and God really loves us.
So guys, ODM elections. Men in black.
They're already fighting. In fact, what we should be celebrating is what Orengo is doing. He's doing the Lord's work within ODM. And I think Baba is beginning to listen. I know, and sometimes I follow keenly Bunge la Wananchi because it's a serious outfit.
You go out there to
and they are, no, I follow, and they are saying
normally live
that they've never had such a difficult opportunity like this. They have been told to sell a candidate who is impossible to sell. So wanaanza kuambia Baba, si tumeshindwa kudefend Ruto. Tumejaribu, hii kazi ni ngumu. It is impossible. Now they are aligning with Orengo. I can tell you, I think by July latest, if it goes to August, it will be grace. But by July latest, Baba will be out of this marriage. Hata sign divorce papers.
Toka gaba?
Yes, unajua ilikuwa walisema ni kamu irisk, hata ikuwa kamu istay.
I think Baba is doing this by design actually. I think Baba is speaking from both sides of his mouth, and it's not by accident. It's by design. It's by design that Orengo and Sifuna are hitting at the government, and it's by design that Wanga and Junet are praising the government, because he doesn't want Ruto to think, the President Ruto to think that now I've already pocketed Raila Odinga. Now I can do what I want. He wants President William Ruto to think that if he does one miscalculation, ODM will be out of government. And that is what Baba is banking on, because Baba is he wants to eat in government, yes, but he also trying to think of tomorrow. What if I need to bolt tomorrow? So if he needs to bolt tomorrow, he will lean on Sifuna and Orengo and say, this is what we have been saying. We have tried this thing, is not working. But if it wants to eat and continue eating, then he will go with the Joho and Wanga and say, let's continue working together as a government for the betterment of the country. So I think Baba is gambling, and he's doing that by design.
And Ruto's walking a tightrope.
Very tightrope.
Baba is not comfortable
Where he is.
He's not comfortable, and I highly doubt that is a position Baba would like to be in, whether it is by design or otherwise. One, after democracy, the other thing Baba cares so much about is ODM. You know, he may not care about Orengo and Sifuna being on one side and these other ones being on the other side, but he knows they are not they don't make ODM. The following he has make ODM. If there are people who follow Sifuna and Orengo and believe in what they are saying, do not know whether in their boardroom meetings Baba is supporting all of them but giving them a different script, kwamba you continue hitting, you continue singing the praise and worship. Kenyans who support ODM are confused
right now.
That is exactly what is happening, and what is coming out from the Bunge la Wananchi. They are confused. Baba, we think Orengo and Sifuna are saying what should be the ODM mantra, but on this other side, these people are telling us everything is okay. Baba is going to get to a point where he will get concerned about his tomorrow, which is ODM.
Yeah.
And I am telling you, I am seeing a likely scenario like what Fanyamambo is saying, that if it doesn't hold, Baba will come back to his troop and say, okay, which way do we go? Because this is what we are saying as the leadership, but it is not understood by our supporters. You know, we have to, if we have to go with the narrative that this is the plan we have, Ruto should not get comfortable with either of our stance. Our supporters should understand that. But as it is, supporters don't understand that Baba is supporting this side and this side. They just know Baba is somewhere uncomfortable between Orengo and Kinawanga.
By the way, if Baba was not supporting Sifuna would be out of ODM by now.
He would have left.
No, not left. He would have been pushed out.
Kicked out.
Hata angechapwa kwa barabara kama Salasia.
Unakumbuka Magerere, the Magerere style.
Yes. With Baba. And you have to go with Baba, what Baba is saying.
No matter what.
You cannot contradict Baba.
No.
And so when you hear Sifuna speaking and speaking confidently, so just know that Baba knows what Sifuna is saying. When you hear Orengo speaking and speaking confidently, so just know that Baba knows. Because if Baba doesn't know, sasa ingekuwa na impeachment motion against Orengo. Na ingepita asubuhi sana. Na paka Senate. Siaya. Ingekuja asubuhi sana. Because Baba, ODM is Baba and Baba is ODM.
What happens to Babu Owino? and
Babu Owino for now has to play safe. He's in ODM. He will have to play it safe.
But he wants Dimples' job, you know that.
He wants to be governor, and it's good to want to be governor.
Right, but
there's a lot more that comes with being governor than just wanting to be governor. I was hoping that Nairobis would get to the place where they don't vote by tribe, then they don't vote by that. But that
Waluya ni wengi huku.
So all I can tell you, actually the truth is, 40 to 45% of those people who vote in Nairobi are from the Kikuyu community.
Come on.
No, I'm telling you the truth. Jeff,
you're telling me about Dagoretti South.
No.
Nairobi.
I can give you, Jeff, I can give you by constituency. I can even tell you that.
Mambo sometimes,
Jeff,
unapenda kutuenjoy sana.
Jeff,
Waluya ndio majority na
No, Jeff, you are wrong. You are so wrong. In fact, last election, I'm telling you, the Gema community in Nairobi right now, out of about 2.5 million voters, 1.2 million is the Gema nation. And by the way, it's going to get interesting in 2027. Because I was in a meeting where they are saying the next governor is going to be Kikuyu. And I asked them how. And they made a very simple answer. We have 1 million Kikuyus who are driven into the city by matatus and trains and everything else. It's not going to be Gakuya. and when these people are driven into the city, they have things we call dormitory constituencies. Ngong is a dormitory constituency. Kajiado, all these places surrounding Nairobi. Where is Gashie? You have your business. But if you just tell Nairobians, kila mtu arushe kura mahali, yeye anafanya kazi, 1 million Kikuyus will come back to Nairobi.